are here to join me now. New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney and Georgia Congressman Andrew Clyde. They join me now. Congresswoman Tenney, I'll start with you. How were the Democrats able to do this without Republican support?
Well, they have enough votes. We have to take back the House. And we had actually 2 Republicans, who you saw on the screen, supported raising the debt ceiling. Not sure why they did that, but unfortunately, they are able to pass that, and they got enough votes in the Senate. Sadly, some of our Senate Republican colleagues voted to raise the debt ceiling, which is only causing more problems in terms of inflation, which is almost at 7%. And we're seeing just, a huge, it's a tax. And we're seeing this really affecting small businesses. And then I feel like this is just a gateway to negotiate the Build Back Broke plan that the Democrats want to put through. But as you saw yesterday, Biden pivoted and they decided, oh no, I think what we want to do now is focus on voting rights, because they're so unpopular. They've got to now figure out a way to manipulate our voting system and corrupt it while we're trying to maintain election integrity, because that's the only way they think they're going to win at the ballot box.
Now, Congressman Clyde, I want to come to you because, for me, I've always said that the debt ceiling is not about actual spending. It's about the debt ceiling for me is just it's the statement you get from American Express that reminds you that you have money you've already spent that you need to pay. For me, it's basically the reminder. It's supposed to tell you, hey, we have to stop spending, honey. We need to, maybe cut the card up and start living within our means. It appears we continuously take the note, throw the note out, and keep spending like there's no tomorrow without actually ever sending the money to American Express.
Joe, you're exactly right. We have got to stop spending. Just increasing the debt limit is like taking that credit card that you mentioned and just increasing the spending limit with no intention whatsoever to pay it back. And that's fiscally irresponsible. That's not what we do as Americans. We should be cutting our budget. We should be cutting federal spending. We should be living within our means. We should not be spending more than what the Revenue Department takes in. We're not at war right now. Our nation is not in great peril. So there's no reason whatsoever that we should be spending more money than we take in. So raising the debt ceiling is irresponsible, in my opinion, without also cutting the spending of the federal government, which would eventually mean you don't need to raise the debt ceiling anymore. So that's the big issue here. Somebody's got to take responsibility. Somebody's got to step up to the plate. And we Republicans, those who voted against the debt ceiling, we stepped up to the plate. And Claudia was one of them.
Absolutely. Congresswoman Tenney, I want to come back to you because it appears in many ways that little bit by little bit we are reverting to these lockdown policies that had Americans locked away in their homes, had economies from state to state in shambles. The Rockettes are seemingly down for the count here in New York. How do we actually make sure that we have policies that actually make sense? Because the science seems to dictate that we're simply at a point right now where we, whether you're talking about the Omicron variant, which has not sending many people to the hospital, not sending many people to the morgue, we should not be reverting to pre-vaccine policies to deal with the COVID issues that we are having today.
Yeah, well, this vaccine mandate and now another mask mandate in New York is not about medical science. It's about political science. And we have authoritarians and one-party rule in New York State and in New York City. And they're destroying our small business community by forcing this mask mandate. But we have among the highest vaccine rate in New York State, but people are continuing to, even with their masks, they're continuing to pick up the virus. The Omicron variant we know is very contagious, but appears so far to be less harmful than the past variants. But this is only hurting our small business community. There are so many things we could do in New York: social distancing, trying to have more monoclonal therapies and other ways to protect the most vulnerable, not the people who are least vulnerable. And at some point, you're going to see a real medical problem when so many businesses have closed down and so many healthcare workers are not able to go to work because they have medical reasons for not taking the vaccine. And we're seeing a real crisis right now with our hospital system, with our small business community. They drive our economy. And we're not going to be able to keep people safe if we have no one to care for people in hospitals.
Absolutely. Congressman Clyde, I come to you. I feel like I ask this question every week. if we have a virus on the loose that is so dangerous that we have to ban travel to 8 African nations, and we have to shut down the Rockettes, and we have to tell people who are fully vaccinated to wear masks indoors when they're at work around other people who are fully vaccinated indoors, why are we not vaccinating the 2 million people who have come knocking on our front door on our southern border? What is the rhyme or reason driving this policy from this administration that says we must remain permanently paralyzed by COVID?
Oh, Joe, you are so correct. We are now nearly 2 years into the, quote, 15 days to stop the spread. All right, Americans do not want mask mandates. They do not want vaccine mandates. Americans want freedom. They don't want our healthcare policy dictated from the Oval Office, especially when you have such hypocritical actions as requiring vaccine mandates here in the United States for those of us who are here, but yet requiring nothing, absolutely nothing from those who cross the border illegally. That's just unconscionable. It's irresponsible, and it just tells you the priorities of the administration are completely off base. I mean, if you come here legally in the country, in a legal port of entry, you have to show a negative COVID-19 test within 3 days of arrival. But if you come illegally, you don't have to show anything, you know, which is why I put up a bill called the COVID-19 Border Protection Act, HR 2076, and Claudia was a original co-sponsor of that bill as well. Right. And that bill would force the border protection, it would Customs and Border Protection to either quarantine those who are tested as positive, right, you know, before they let them into the country. I mean, that's just common sense. But our administration doesn't seem to have a lot of common sense.
Well, you don't need to have common sense when you have, you know, the various branches of government covering for you and the media ignoring all of your mistakes. Congresswoman Claudia Tenney, Congressman Andrew Clyde, thank you so much to both of you. We'll talk to you again soon.